Hello, and welcome to Meet the College of Social Work series. Today we have with us Margriet de Zeeuw, Wright. Margriet, please introduce yourself.
Hi, Alexis. I'm Margriet de Zeeuw, Wright. I'm a clinical associate professor with the College of Social Work, and I've been here since 2014. I'm also the Charleston site coordinator. So we have an extended time program in Charleston. Students come on Saturdays for that for 3 years. That's quite a commitment. And I'm also the associate director for the MSW online program.
Yes, and we have the pleasure of working together.
Sorry.
So, what is social work to you?
Social work has a broad and deep history. And so social work means something different for a lot of different people.
Right.
And I think for me, students are signing up to hear the stories of folks in our communities that a lot of people don't want to hear. And we have some knowledge and we train them to be highly effective in working across system levels. So when an individual, a couple, a family, a group, a community, or an organization comes to us, we start with where the client is, understand what it is they need, and then use our training and our education and research to walk alongside them as they try and reach their goals.
So, Margriet, what drew you to social work?
Well, after I did my undergrad, I didn't know what I was going to do, and so I volunteered for a women's shelter. Mm-hmm. And it was during that time that I understood the complexity of social problems. So women and children trying to leave interpersonal violence is a complicated issue. Mm-hmm. And so while we can address the trauma, the individual trauma that these families experience, there are also systemic barriers that keep them in cycles of violence. And so I was really interested in furthering my education and understanding how can I be helpful. And I think social work helps us address the complexity of these social issues.
Yeah. As social workers, we have to understand ethics and how they impact our personal beliefs and personal values, and vice versa. Mm-hmm. So how do you balance ethical standards and personal values?
It's a great question, and I think we have to struggle with this. Mm-hmm. For me, personally, my personal values are similar to my social work values. I've been doing this for a long time, and so those principles of service and social justice, integrity, and the importance of human relationships, those are a part of who I am. And that's not to say that my assumptions or my beliefs don't get challenged every once in a while. And I think we have to work in community and have trusted colleagues and supervisors who help us see our blind spots so that we can be lifelong learners and make sure that we are doing effective work and not doing harm. I think that social work can be a site of real liberation for our clients, but it can also be a site of oppression. Mm. And we have to be careful of the power that we hold. And so that's why we're held to account with our ethics and making sure that we are maintaining standards for practice to serve the public.
What do you do for self-care?
Well, I'm from the rural north, and one of the images that I use is the Native American medicine wheel. And it's a wheel, and it's about balance. So there are 4 quadrants to identify the 4 seasons, the cycle of life. And for me, I think sometimes in social work, because there is no shortage of work, we can get out of balance. And so when I think about a balance and a wheel, I think of our physical selves, our emotional, psychological, intellectual selves. And so part of my self-care is recognizing, being self-aware when I'm out of balance. So sometimes I need to take better care of my physical self. Sometimes, though, our self-care is a professional obligation so that we can have a long, productive career in social work. And so maybe it's about the workload. And do I need to do something to get myself back in balance? Maybe it's advocating for myself with my supervisor to make sure that my balance at work is maintained so that I can keep doing the job. So self-care for me is more than just sort of bubble baths. It's a professional obligation, and trying to maintain that balance in ways that I can. So maybe I need to read more and learn something new to develop new competence around emerging issues. That's stimulating for me. So reading and being in nature, I know are surefire ways that I can create balance in my life, but it goes beyond simply taking a night off.
What is generalist social work practice, and what is the benefit of a generalist social work education?
So students could have applied to other MSW programs where they focus either on clinical work or social justice issues. We at the College of Social Work at the University of South Carolina have this advanced generalist program, and I believe in this philosophy that over the course of a student's career, they will do it all, micro to macro. And so they may start out thinking, oh, I want to be a therapist, and they might, but often our highly trained students get into managerial supervisory positions, and they need to have a broader view of the community and how organizations work. And so they need knowledge related to budgeting and to how to do a strategic plan, or how to scan a community and do an assessment of gaps in service. And so I think that the skills that they'll learn are transferable and can be applied across system levels, work with individuals, families, groups, communities, and organizations. And so I think the advanced generalist degree is a great foundation for a long career.
You've held many roles across direct and indirect social work practice over the past 30 years. How have those experiences shaped the way you teach and mentor your students today?
Thank you for noting that. You're right, that in my practice in the community, these are transferable skills, though. The work that I did with clients, the work that I did as a supervisor and a manager are not unlike the roles that I've taken on now in academia. There's administrative roles, there's mentoring roles, and the skills that I used in my practice I bring to the classroom, mentoring students, sort of sharing some knowledge of how I think systems work, how they can be effective in working in systems to create change. And all of this is grounded fundamentally in relationships and being a trustworthy source of information and support.
Earlier you stated that systems can unintentionally cause harm and social work could potentially oppress individuals. How do you help your students critically examine systems while still preparing them to work effectively within said systems?
It's a great question. Thank you very much for asking it. This is really important for me, how we unintentionally do harm. And this takes me back to why I returned to school for my PhD, that I was sitting in my office, thinking I'm providing great quality care, and we have these wonderful systems of care set up for clients. And yet I was hearing from clients, I wish I'd never reached out and asked for help in the first place. Like, can you imagine? And what they said to me and others was, not only do I have to deal with the original hurt, now I have to deal with the hurt that the system has created. And so whether that is in social services, the obstacles that we put up to access service, or whether it's in, the legal system or the healthcare system. And so we weren't talking about trauma-informed care back then, but we are now. We're talking about how we can construct systems that are client-centered, that help meet their needs, that are intentionally trustworthy and safe and accessible for our clients. So your question was, how do I, in the classroom, teach students how to be empathic?
And how to effectively engage within those systems that potentially oppress.
Yeah. So I want students to feel proud of the work that they're doing, and to challenge the systems that they're part of, to think critically about what they're doing and why they're doing it and how it's impacting clients. And so we teach students, hopefully, to think critically. And our capstone course is really the culmination of the program, the MSW program, where it's a case-based discussion every week. These are real-life situations that have happened, and we ask students, so what would you do? grounded in our ethics, grounded in critical thinking. What are the best options? And I want you to think through the pros, cons, and unintended consequences of your recommendations. And I think that helps them connect with the people that are involved in the case, but also using their knowledge and research to make sure that they're thinking long-term. What are the potential outcomes?
Your classroom practice emphasizes empathetic connections and evidence-based interventions. How do you help students balance clinical empathy with the demands of evidence-based practices?
Well, true evidence-based practice is made up of three things. One, it's the evidence-supported intervention. The second part is our clinical judgment, our wisdom. And the third is tailored to the client. And so true evidence-based practice is grounded in empathy for the client and tailoring our service to meet their needs. And I'd also add that true evidence-based practice, while the evidence-supported intervention is important, there are also evidence-supported relationships. And so we talk about common factors, that genuineness, authenticity, unconditional positive regard. This channels Carl Rogers. The sense of how we show up with our clients matters, that those are facilitative conditions for change. So without the relationship, combined with the research, so the relationship combined with the research is what makes effective practice.
You're currently integrating human-centered design into the development of the MSW online program. What does human-centered learning look like in practice, especially in an online environment where we sometimes struggle with engagement and connection and relationship, like you've been speaking to throughout most of this interview?
Relationship matters.
Yes, it does.
Well, human-centered design's been around for a generation, and it's grounded in the user's experience. And so I'm very grateful. Our first cohort, they know they're the inaugural cohort of this program. They're helping us to shape what the user's experience, what the learner's experience is in this online program. And we're gathering feedback. This is a pilot project. It's our first iteration. And with their feedback, we are changing the program as they're in it. It's like fixing the plane while we're flying it. And that, with the help of our learning experience designer, Dr. Linda Marshall, who's been a wonderful support for this program, she's helping us implement immediate changes based on feedback from students. And that's the essence, that human-centered design helps us try something. It's not going to be perfect, but there's this commitment to improving it as we go along. And our first cohort of students is really helping us do that. Helping us how to have an engaging online experience for them that maintains the rigor of our in-person program, but also helps them develop a learning community and engage with one another in peer support.
As site coordinator for the Extended Time MSW program in Charleston, what advice do you have for students balancing professional, personal, and academic responsibilities while staying connected to the USC College of Social Work community?
Yeah, shout out to our extended time students in Charleston, Greenville, and here in Columbia as well, that they're making this commitment to themselves and to their future in attending this program for 3 years on Saturdays. So these are folks that are working often and have family responsibilities. And so that the cohorts typically are smaller in Charleston and Greenville, so they get to know each other very well. That support really matters to the perseverance that they have. But I asked them to hold on to their why. Like, why are you doing this? What do you envision for your life at the end of this? Because graduate education and social work in particular is not easy. You know, it requires a lot of self-reflection. It requires a lot of organization and some grit. And so I also want to say a shout out to our teams here at the college who go to our sites for advising and field experiences, and to our dean who regularly makes our students feel like they matter, that they are part of the college even though they're not on campus.
Thank you so much, Dr. Wright, for your insight, your wisdom, and the knowledge that you shared with myself and those in the online presence watching this video. We thank you for watching and tuning in to Meet the College of Social Work faculty. We hope to see you again soon. Thank you and have a wonderful day.